Hello, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, people. And yeah, welcome back to another transfer video, another Mike's React sort of thing. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Go and check out my video about James Ward-Prowse. Probably will have a video about Evan Ferguson when it's announced. And yeah, we're going to be live at 7:45 for the Chelsea versus West Ham United watch along. We're on the road to 1K, so subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, let's go. Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa. Who would have thought that would happen at the start of the season? If we would talk to the start of the season and someone said Rashford will be left out by Ruben Amorim in the squad because he doesn't train well enough, well, you could probably believe that part. But then Aston Villa would poach him. I don't think anyone would have really seen that happening. But at the same time, I think everyone probably would have thought that Marcus Rashford will be a one club man. Well, not everyone, but I think a lot of people would have saw that just because he seemed like unsellable, not because he's good or anything, but because like of the wages Man United put him on, like the amount of money he's actually on at Manchester United, and his lack of consistency over the past few seasons that has probably derailed that. To be completely honest with you, everyone has my opinions on Marcus Rashford. Very streaky player, very streaky player. One good year, one bad year, and the people that were hyping him up were doing way too much, way too much. The thing is with Marcus Rashford, even in the good seasons he's had, he still showed how streaky he actually was. Like the first season under Eric Ten Hag, he went like 5 to 10 games without a goal or some shit. But nobody talked about it because of the goals he was already on. Because unfortunately, from a fan perspective, it's become a stats game. It's become a get one over your rival sort of thing. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But this is the thing. This is the thing with Marcus Rashford. Like he's just a product of, or an example, not really a product, but an example of what United have been since Sir Alex left. And you could say the same for someone like a Garnacho. You could say the same for someone like a Bruno Fernandes. These streaky players that get the odd stats here and there are not the solution. They're not the sole problem, but they're part of the problem. They're part of how bad United's development skills have been over the years of young players and bad recruitment. Not knowing how to handle technical players, not knowing how to build a team around him. I'm not saying they should have built the team around Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford isn't the technical player I was talking about. But we're going to probably see Kobe Mainu suffer with the same thing, but the difference is with Kobe Mainu, I actually think he's a very, very good player that can, be one of the better players in his position in the world in this generation. One of the better players. Maybe not better than, the Pedris or anything, but you know what I'm talking about. Like one of the better midfielders in the world, especially in advanced positions. And we're talking about this current day in football. That's not exactly the most wild thing to say. Just because Kobe Mainoo's had a bad season this season, people will look down upon that. But with Rashford, I saw tweets, and obviously this is Twitter we're talking about here, but you're still seeing people in 2024. I know we're in 2025 now, but at the very start of the season, talking about don't drop your Rashford stocks and all this. Like, well, those Rashford stocks are now in the Midlands. So we're going to talk about Rashford to Villa. Ollie Watkins is now injured. Duran is gone. Rashford's not a 9, but him, Marlon, and Asensio are going to have to rotate around those positions in the number 10 and the number 9 with Morgan Rogers to kind of fill in the gaps for if Watkins is injured for a little period of time. I don't know. I don't think Rashford played in the Arsenal game in the FA Cup, so I'm pretty sure he can play in the FA Cup game against Tottenham. The difference is though now he's going to have to get his fitness back up because of the lack of game time he's had. He's had a severe lack of game time for a few months now. A few months where he was left out of the squad, and the only reason why the couple of times he was actually put in the squad was because Manchester United had quite a few injuries, and it kind of says a lot where they got Højlund, Xerxes, Garnacho, Bruno, and whoever else apart from Ahmad, all playing even Ahmad all playing in the front three positions, and Marcus Rashford can't get a game, is because even though people like Højlund and Bruno's inconsistent, Højlund's horrible, Xerxes just settling in, Ahmad's a good player, um, Garnacho is shocking. It kind of says a lot about Rashford more than the manager himself, because that must mean that Rashford is probably training bad. Because there's no way the manager sees qualities in a Garnacho or Hoyland and then doesn't see anything in Marcus Rashford. They're all like terrible footballers. Not terrible, but Hoyland's a terrible footballer. Rashford's a mediocre footballer. Like it kind of just says a lot about your application. And Rashford gets targeted by the media a lot for stupid things like fucking flying to see a basketball game or taking a picture with a rapper that got convicted that he didn't know about. Like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. It's none of my business. To be quite honest with you, I'm here to talk football, even though we make jokes about non-footballing stuff now and then. If we're having a serious football conversation, we're not going to judge a player based on what they do in their private life. But listen, bad decisions on and off the pitch. When trying to shag that snow bunny and then she went back on Love Island, it kind of says a lot about him. No, I'm just joking. But this is the thing with Marcus Rashford. Is he concentrated on his football? And not by flying to go and do basketball matches, but going on nights out in Belfast before a big game. It's not great. You can't really get away with that kind of stuff in a modern day footballing era. But do you know what this Aston Villa move, like, he suits the way Villa play in terms of they like players that run in behind. They like players that are fast. They like players that take people on 1v1 in transition and just let shots off. With the way Unai Emery plays, it could benefit him. He might play him in a front two off the ball and not allow him to track back as much, instead of playing him in one of the tens where like Ramsey or Leon Bailey plays or out wide and etc. He might just play as one of like the forwards, but just stay up high up the pitch and then he'll drift to the left to really get into the proper positions. So maybe he might find a new lease of life here. And Villa have got a buy option. So if he does do well, 40 million, I would take that for Rashford. And I think that would be a good deal for all parties if he does do well there. I think sometimes it's just best to get away from the limelight. Like, that's what Lingard should have done for us. Should have gone to us on a free. That's what Wan-Bissaka did. Wan-Bissaka's doing that. Like, the players just find new leases of life at a club that's maybe, even though Aston Villa have been above Man United, to be fair, Aston Villa have been above Man United. Sometimes it's not even just about going to a club that's a smaller club or whatever, but also just a new environment just suits people. Like, even though you probably wanted to be a one-club man at Manchester United or whatever, sometimes it's just not meant to be. It's not meant to be because he probably had that in the back of his mind, putting too much pressure on himself because he's come through the academy. But no, at Aston Villa, even though you're going to be the big fish in a small pond, even though Aston Villa aren't a small club and they've got big name players there already, you could just kind of take it by the horns and just be the main man there if you really want to, or just be a part of a team that's already functioning. Even though they lost the Wolves, even though they got injuries or whatever, they're a functionable team. They've got a really good manager, a really good coach, a team that really embraced the tactics quite well. They're in a Champions League. This could be a good move for him. I don't know whether he'll do nothing of note. I think he'll contribute. I just don't think it's going to like stand out or anything. But put it this way, every little goal is going to cause some conversation with should Man United have loaned him out, or was Ruben Amorim wrong, etc. But sometimes it's just different circumstances. Sometimes players just work well under different managers, etc. I think Unai Emery is, if anyone's going to get the best out Marcus Rashford, is going to be someone like a Unai Emery. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to leave a like on the video. We're live at 7:45 for the Chelsea West Ham watch along. Make sure to subscribe. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. Any email for the inquiries. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.